Hello and welcome to our daily sketching routine. It is Sunday, August 24th, 2025, and today's topic is going to be about the commitment to sketching. It's a 4-week commitment, and we're on week 3. It's Sunday of week 3, so I'm going to call it week 3 checkpoint. So yeah, I'll probably do another one at the end of the 4 weeks. So one, I'll kind of talk about that and also the basics. This is the basics. I was getting warmed up and kind of organizing my thoughts because the 4-week commitment, it had a lot of stuff to do with the basics. But yeah, before we begin, welcome back if you're returning and welcome if you're new to the channel. I sketch and post every day and I use a timer to stay focused and to build a habit. I'll start a 10-minute timer. So the basics starts with the idea of points. So this is mark making, or like you could call it like the basics of drawing. You have to make marks. This is a Papermate felt tip pen that I like to use. It's fun. If you want to do something kind of like this, so this is just like random, but I thought it was a good way to kind of go over what these are. So for example, like you can just put down some random points. It's kind of like constellations. So these are points, and it comes in handy because you can also use it to shade lines. So if you want to practice line quality, this is kind of a fun way to do that. So I just shifted the paper so that I can go this way and just put down a few lines. You can also just make it go this way if you want and just connect them. And I wouldn't try to make anything. I would just sort of, once you connect them, what happens is that so that's line, and then the next thing is shape. So this is just kind of basic kind of geometry really, but yeah, you can just connect them, and then the shapes, when you connect them, it creates forms. And yeah, I wouldn't really try to make too much, just it can be random stuff. So that's like mark making. And I find that to be like fun in and of itself, and that's usually how I test whether I like a pen or not. And then the stages of a drawing, basically 3 stages. The first one is like a sketch, so this is like an outline kind of sketch, and then the shading. So just to keep things simple, and I'll go over what I did here because I was playing around with different kinds of shading. So for example, just establish like the light and dark immediately, and the technique could be cross-hatching, let's say. I find that to be kind of convenient for pen and ink, but I mean you can use different, it's the same principle. I mean it's dark and light because there's a lot. Each of these things can be practiced and explored. So shading, for example, let's say that that's the basic like light and dark, but then let's create like a cast shadow. The cast shadow could just be kind of like this. Again, when I talk about building things up like gradually, this is kind of what I mean, because you can make one of these go darker. I'm still going to just go in the same direction. That affects the texture of it, so you just kind of have to play around with that. There's not like a right and wrong way to crosshatch. It's just sort of like what the texture. You just play around with the look of it. So what I did was I pushed that, so that made that look darker, and then it makes it look like it's casting some kind of shadow right here. So those are your values, and that's really what shading is. It's just values. You can decide, okay, do I want something else to have this value or that value, or just leave it like the white of the paper. Part of it is just the pattern, so you can use stippling like right here. So part of that is just showing texture, but it's also like the pattern, meaning it's light and then it starts to go like darker over here, and that's just to keep it kind of simple. And the same here, you could turn that form a little bit, but you can decide how you want to show that, because it's just like a texture thing. It's like you can turn that a little bit too. And by turn, I just mean turning it away from the light. The light's hitting like right here, like directly, the light source, but depending on like the material, you can suggest it, because it could be like a different material, and that's just part of like the language. You can establish that. It's all made up anyway. This shape right here could be turning away from the light a little bit, And I haven't even really got to the details because we're still establishing like the light and dark. But like, let's say once you do this, I mean, it works. I mean, the light's right here, the shadow's right here, and it has like form to it. So then details would be cleaning it up. That's one thing. So even stuff like, one is you can crosshatch, you can do this. So I'm just going to go in the opposite direction. And you can keep pushing that. And once you start pushing that, you can start to push this part, because this is kind of, it's casting a shadow right here. And so that's how you can add detail. Part of the detail is because of the line work, it's getting smaller, like the shapes are getting smaller, but it's also, it's getting more refined. So another example is if you want to push this one. So at first I did this stippling, as it's called, but then you can also just add more like little shapes, but build it up gradually so it doesn't become overworked, so that the idea is always there, because you're saying stuff with the drawing. You're saying this form is turning, this is in the shadow, casting the shadow here, this has like a certain texture to it. Like, you're the one saying that, so you want that to be communicated. And so you don't want to say more than you need to or less than you need to. And that's really what details is. Details could also be stuff like, let's say there's a door, and it could just be kind of this like random looking door like this. Like, to me, that would be considered detail. It's a detail because of like how it's a smaller shape, and then you can copy the value scheme. So that's like the shading or like the light and dark pattern. So for example, this is that dark right there. So you can copy that and just use the same thing, and it will match up. It'll make sense. And also detail is pushing the values. So if there's an area that's going to be completely like dark, so let's say this is, I'm just going to fill this space in right here. Like, that's just going to be completely dark. That's also like the details, because now you have the darkest and then the lightest, and then you can build off of that too. So if that becomes the darkest, if I want this to be second darkest, because it's second darkest like right here, so that's the darkest one, and then the next one would be like, that's the second darkest value. So these are values. So that's like the second one, that's the darkest one, that's the lightest one. You can push it, you can like make this go towards that. So I'm just gonna, so we already crosshatched this way and then like this way. You can just go in like kind of an opposite way, like so I just pushed it, and if I keep doing that, obviously it'll just turn into the darkest one. And that's really it. I mean, that's really what detail is, cleaning up stuff. So I sketched that in like pretty loosely, but if you want to clean it up, you can. And then just make these small shapes, and so it'll start to, and if your line work is a little bit more deliberate, and you can just keep playing with it. So part of what's happening here is like there's this thing called local value, which is some of the material is darker anyway, like even with light hitting it. So the light's right here, but the material itself might have like a different, it might be a little bit darker. It's kind of what I wanted to go over. I mean, it's kind of fun to do these. So again, I'm just like pushing this, because by the time you get here, now you have sort of a sketch that you can play around with. You can add like an object right there. But that was basically the week 3 checkpoint of the 4-week commitment to sketching. Sunday is complete, and next week will be week 4, the last week. So hope to see you there. I want to thank you for joining me for a daily sketching routine, and if you enjoy these videos, please support the channel. I appreciate it, and until next time, keep on sketching.